What's happening, guys? It's uh it's good to be alive, you know what I mean? Still alive. Still having conscious thought. On those fronts, we are definitely crushing it. Just crushing it. Yeah, what's up everybody? What's up Fugal familiars? Man, I am exhausted as well. I gotta take it easy. I gotta take a break maybe. I've been doing this every night for a little bit here, and I appreciate you all listening. Thanks for appreciating the music. You know, I'm trying to do a lot. trying to entertain, you know? Have a little production value here. So, right, this is my regular time lapse. I got a little longer exposure and sped it up 1,000 times. So we're getting a longer sort of better picture of what actually happened in the day, right? We can see sort of these different layers that are cross hatching, right? This more cloudy sort of cloud layer, and then the trail layer going on above that. You can really sort of see that here. And then actually drifting in different directions, like utterly different directions at different speeds, right? These cloudy clouds seem to all be just rushing in that same direction. But if you caught any of those trails going down, they're not going in that direction. And I just want to keep letting it roll here for a second because it is sort of mesmerizing. You see it sort of like thins out, and then that's what I wanted to catch. Do you see that weird little like? It's sort of like a pulsed. I'm gonna roll it back for just a second. You see that? There's like a right. Do you see what I'm saying? There's like because I've been seeing these everywhere. They're like lines, you know, and there's like a couple missing. Maybe it's fully concealed at that point, but right, and they're going in the other opposite direction. I mean, maybe I'm just seeing this wrong. Maybe it's just like foreshortening. Full disclosure, I'm not a cloud scientist. Full disclosure, guys. But I do have a camera and I can look at pictures. I know this is quickly becoming controversial, just saying words on the internet. I mean, this is live. I guess I could say anything, that is dangerous. Man, that's dangerous. I'm surprised they still let people do this. But it's good to have you guys. Right, and just see the difference in color. I think it's doing this pulsing thing because of the auto exposure settings, which seems to, I was hoping to get a clear sort of fade to black here, but it gets all washed out otherwise. There's a lot of scary things happening all over the place, nonstop, every day, all the time. Yeah, right. And we're trying to get at least like a mildly more positive. Just I with all of this crazy stuff going on, especially when you're waking up basically and learning it for the first time, like, oh wait, our government doesn't love us, and wait, what was the it's hard to even get into it, but you can see a lot of scary stuff, and like whatever's going on in the skies, and that's for later. We got to get into the light. For those that don't know about the light, it's my favorite conspiracy. Right, but it's scary out there and all those things. But at the same time, like whether it's a simulation or not, whether we're all just gonna get EMP'd and like explode tomorrow, it really is like a beautiful world that we're living in. And it's kind of like oxymoronic almost, it seems like that you would look at all this darkness and you would want to just dive into it. It makes you depressed, when you realize you have no control, and that freedom of speech we're in the final, seventh inning stretch is long gone. We're in the final part here with the whole free speech thing. It is being dismantled piece by piece, and right, But all of that almost makes me appreciate like beauty in nature and beauty in other things even more. You know, it's spring. You know, even though it's hailing and it's crazy and all of this nonstop, it's spring and it's beautiful. And there's, you know, this planet just never ceases to amaze me. I don't know where you guys live if you get to experience nature much, but you know, in these like precious moments, I would sort of deeply encourage you to do so. Not you know, these pictures are not good enough. Basically, go find a flower that isn't from a grocery store and touch it. You know, would be my advice. As always, these are all from today. You know, these are the flowers. This the state of flowers in California right now. And because we got soaked, you know, a lot, it was good for the wildlife. Really bad for farmers and people planting things. Real bad for those guys. But for all the other sort of natural plants that are used to these sort of changing adaptations, that yeah, they're all very happy basically to have all this wetness. I'm sure they're gonna be even happier when the Orville Dam breaks. I didn't say that. That's not happening. That's not a thing. I mean, I guess those are my main notes on clouds today. I definitely did think that was very interesting, that sort of pulsed movement, and I guess I was noticing for the first time the different directions that you can directly observe when you're doing a faster time lapse like this. You know, and I was just trying to figure out scale. You know, it's just hard to know what's going on in the sky. I can't zoom in on that right. But I have just been seeing strange layers basically now. I don't know what all this is. This is like some other cloud that seems to be at the same sort of altitude and going directly into, right? Again, not a cloud scientist, but I I find it hard to tell the difference between like the actual sun rays, like the rays, and what may be some sort of chemical thing happening. How are we going to get around this? We don't have time to learn a new language. Much less teach it to each other. How do we communicate in this next phase? Because we know it's going to get harder. As it gets harder, I don't know. Beauty is just it's always more. It just seems to get more and more important, at least for me. So, if for those of you that don't know, there's a battery powered light outside of my place where I sleep, and this battery died a really 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 long time ago, and recently it's been resurrected basically, and I can't really explain it, you know. I don't want to touch it or really mess with it because every time you turn it on and off, it loses all of its juice. But at least right now and for the last couple weeks, it doesn't turn off. It does not. It's fully brightness, and I don't get it. Right? Is it sucking ambient energy from the new 5G towers? Is there some weird sort of, that's all I can think of. What is this ambient energy that it's pulling from that is allowing this thing to run? I mean, I'm telling you, like the batteries died 6 months ago because I left it on. I accidentally left it on, and it was like, oh damn, I fried those batteries, and then I'm lazy, so I never exchanged the batteries. It's still going. I don't get it. Uh, I'm sorry. I won't spend too much time on Operation, it needs a name. Operation, why is my light still on? We were just talking a lot about truth. I mean, we're always talking a lot about truth, but what is going on and what's going to be allowed to be said, what's going to be allowed to be posted. And when I talk about how day in day out this is a war that is waged, article by article, and there's just a lot of this going around that people mess with important people, right? It's already like that in England that you can't use parliamentary videos for comedy. They'll just take that shit down. You can't even show that as a major network, right? And so I guess some person slowing down, making meme videos, that's I guess that's not going to be okay pretty soon. Right, but the trouble was that people in power see the video and then think that it's real, and that's the argument that's being made, that people are making like life and death decisions based on these fake viral videos, and that should not be allowed. Gotta stop. Can you stop? Can you stop? I want to show you this video. The music, don't copy my... We'll see how that goes. But the basic concept is that they only need like 8 or so frames from different angles, and the algorithm's going to extrapolate the rest and I guess somehow magically insert the proper facial motion. I guess because, yeah, it sees you in different poses or whatever, and then it's able to extrapolate from there, basically, right? It's that, I guess the article's talking about how it's like that Harry Potter, moving pictures in their, whatever they call it, the newspaper. But it goes a lot deeper than that, basically. This is super, super easy, right? You could fake a video of literally anybody saying anything. If you have 8 frames of them, like, they got more than 8 frames of you. Are you joking right now? Like, and that's all they need. I sort of want to play the guy talking.
It can be driven by the positions of the face landmarks. In this case, we extract landmarks by running an off-the-shelf face landmark tracker on a different video of the same person.
And this is all like pretty basic. I think people just don't honestly like look into this stuff too much. It's like way out in front, and I don't know. I just want to keep ringing whenever that bell is. Yeah, Marv already talked about this. I like traveling. I like being able to have freedoms. Just general freedoms are cool. And the airports all over the world are already sort of pre-programming, conditioning for whatever is coming. But you really feel it when you're at the airport. For those of you that have been at the airport, right? You are dehumanized, basically. You got to take your belt off. You got to take your shoes off. They're going to rifle through your pockets and give you a heavy dose of radiation to make sure you're not carrying anything, right? And depending on how this all goes down, right? I can feel that feeling. I can feel that. It's at one point or another. That's gonna be, and maybe it won't be for forever, but that's gonna be a period, right, where this entire country and maybe the entire world is gonna feel like the airport, basically. Like, you're gonna be able to go shopping, like go to the food court or whatever. But you're still gonna get searched through, and you're gonna have to take your shoes off, and you're gonna, maybe they're gonna look in your eyes to see if you got the outbreak or whatever, and maybe you're not even gonna be able to go out into the common room, or the common areas, because you had the virus at some point, right? You're gonna get sent to the back room, and maybe you had some sketchy podcast where you used a voice changer and you thought like that was gonna cover your back, but then they just came and knocked on your door anyways, because it was obvious that you were a lost case, and like there was no way they were going to reprogram you, so you just got murked like right at the beginning of the revolution. That's, a hypothetical. But yeah, if this Ebola thing, which I believe, it really honestly feels like it, if that really is just about to blow the doors down, measles are going to be the last thing you're worried about. All of this measles stuff has probably just been to give you sort of a little, hit the ground running feeling. I feel like a lot of stuff they put in news and media is it's those training wheels, basically. It gets your brain, oh, yeah. I mean, but that makes sense. Like, we don't want sick people everywhere. I'll go with it. And and then as soon as when the real disaster hits, because they got a guarantee, like 90% or whatever acceptance rate that like, oh yeah, they better close all those airports, and that better be what's like flowing all over social media at that moment. You know what I mean? You think this is easy? I'm still confused. I'm so confused about all these paradoxes in life, but why, if we could put internet in space, are we doing the biggest infrastructure build out in the history of mankind, building small cells every 350 feet all over this civilized gigantic planet? If we could just launch a couple satellites and then it would do the same thing, is that like, why do you need both? Is this internet going to be slow, but maybe it'll be faster? I Right, and then there's so much programming about space junk and how that's a big problem and how that's really just gonna like, it's gonna compound at some point, that there's so much space junk up there, it's all gonna cause some sort of catastrophic what is that word I'm looking for, where things happen and then another thing happens and then another thing happens because the other things happen, cascading failures. I got there. If we're worried about space junk, what is the plan to put like, right? This was just a test with 60 satellites. I think they're aiming at 2,000. I don't know the exact number. A lot. 12,000. It's a lot. They want to put 12,000 of these up there and just sort of, right? We're not worried about them causing cascading space junk, utter annihilation, disaster land. I just hope, right? Like you can't have all of these things at the same time. That's sort of what I'm driving at here. Like you can't have. Why is there the 5G build out and when they know the CME is coming, when the craziest stuff is going on with the sun and other stuff in our planet, why are they doing the 5G build out now? I hear you, Florida, like SpaceX, what's your plan? And space is such a touchy subject that these days, and I think that was utterly on purpose. That's the same thing with the secure team. Shout out to secure team. One of my first, like, after watching some flat Earth videos and some videos about giant statues being mountains or whatever, you stumble onto a secure team. And you're like, okay, well, this I can like show some of my friends actually. Like they would not be totally freaked out because, as you know, like there's some questionable delivery methods here in the conspiracy community, and that sometimes that comes from the best. That's where the best information comes from. From some real sort of sketchy dudes, but nothing you could really use to show any of your friends. I've sort of given up on that though. That's why I guess I'm talking to you guys, because Los Angeles, it's ground zero for this whole thing. You think it's weird out there in the country, wherever you are. We are leading the charge on self-censorship and having a super good time of it. I pulled up Mr. MBB's video because I just thought that was crazy.
Why the great spot on Jupiter, the great red spot on Jupiter, is unraveling literally before our very eyes. The largest storm in the solar system. We've had some large storms here in the
Right, so it's going crazy. Who knows what's going on in space? I know that things are interconnected. That's just how the world works, and whatever actually is going on in space and with us, it's all interconnected. I just know that for a fact, on some level. So, right, storm's going on here, but this is unprecedented, right? That the actual eye of Jupiter would be unraveling. And it's been going for 300 years, and right, who knows what's actually going on that planet. I like to see all sorts of crazy stuff. If you guys know WSO, he gets a lot of crazy sky pictures, and some of those pictures, it seems like Jupiter is like right next to us. It's maybe it's the lens flare, maybe it's not Nibiru. You know, maybe it really is Jupiter, and that's what it sort of started to hypothesize. You know, because you got to mix all this stuff together. This stuff from entertainment, what we see in these like mainline space articles. That's why, you know, like when anybody like calls me out for like, oh, do you believe in that or do you not believe in that? It was just like, that's not really the point, bro. Like, people are saying things and stuff is out there. You should take it in, you know, and not be a baby about it, like maybe hurting your brain a little bit. You know, don't shield yourself. I guess you shouldn't watch snuff films like all day long. The stuff will definitely, you know, have a negative impact. Don't like listen to me for life advice, but this is weird, right? I see this as weird. I see this as related to everything that's going on. We're going to move through this because this is related to what I was talking about yesterday. But they're talking about, well, let me just pull it up real quick. They're talking about room temperature superconductivity. That's the only way we're going to have computers fast enough to actually work with the 5G network and all that kind of stuff. We need way, way, way better computers to get to whatever like next stage that they're planning, which is, you know, I guess maybe a consolation prize that there's going to be super sick video games in this dystopian future where we can't talk about anything. You know, decent trade-off. Apparently these don't need to be very big, and you can create some insane pressures, you know, gigapascals, and that's what they need. At least that's one sort of workaround for getting, you know, room temperature superconductivity. I guess they got it down to about 30 degrees. Yeah, 30 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So, you know, still a little below freezing, but pretty damn good, right? If you just had to keep your computer sort of liquid cooled and you could have superconductivity, then you have quantum computing, then you have that whole thing broken open. Although, as with all these things, I'm sure they already figured it out, and this is just sort of the fun little rollout game. I didn't see this anywhere. I guess they figured out some weird hack with optical sensors to where they can make, you know, it has something to do with where they put the images when they take them on the sensor, right? So I guess if I could just get in this 1 second. Right, because things can only do like 60 frames a second, like a lot of cameras can only do about 60 frames a second, right? So they can only get 60 shots in per second still, but the rate, they can up the rate to 4 trillion frames, right? They can't take 4 trillion frames a second, but they can take it that rate now. And they've, right, this is a crazy animation. They can like see the photons actually passing through walls and sort of crazy stuff like that, which is like, right? And it always ties back to all this cybersecurity, security, surveillance kind of stuff, right? If they can just burst image through your wall, which they can already do with 5G, I guess you got to come at it from many different angles. High speed processes, right? I mean, it's more for like sciencey stuff. That's what they're gonna say. But think about the applications of being able to take pictures at 4 trillion frames a second. In your, I don't know what else, I don't know what to call this other than depressing. For Amazon, they're giving them like video games. It's like a packing video game, right? And there's sort of these low res things that they put on the console. I don't think they have a picture of it. But then you play a little game where like, right, you have to chase the hedgehog to go pick up that you know, toothbrush that this other person ordered, and they're trying to figure out, you know, workarounds to make people more interested and to keep up their productivity and to keep them from going insane, like I guess too quickly, because you know they got to have a high turnover rate on this type of work. And I heard it's very seasonal, right? They hire and fire a lot of people depending on the seasons for the holidays and everything. So can you picture it, especially when VR gets a little bit better, that, right, anything menial that isn't going to be taken over by robots, because it is going to take a minute for them to automate packing and a lot of this stuff. It is going to take them a minute, but it's coming so fast. Ford thinks robots and self-driving cars could team up to deliver packages, which, right, obviously, that's the best plan. Make it happen. If you get Uber and whatever Boston Dynamics, you just have some sort of robot sitting in the back seat and it drives there to your house, and then the robot brings it out. Like, because it's that 2-stage, right? You got to drive and you got to bring it out. That's the only real reason you need the person still is, right, to bring it to your house. That's the only reason you need the mailman. So I was already doing some stories yesterday. There's a lot of this about, logistics. I definitely think is going to be the first sector to go hardcore, and it's like on its way out. I feel for all the truckers, and it's it's a complex world out there. But speaking of gamifying your like, I don't want to say slave factory. It's not like, it doesn't seem like a good place to work, honestly. Right, the article's kind of sensational, says it's going to read your emotions. Basically, it just reads the intonation from your voice, which I'm assuming they were already doing and that all other voice recognition software is doing as well, right? That they're logging, and I guess I didn't really think about that too much, that they're also, they're logging all what you're saying and everything, but they're also keeping a record of the basic emotional state that you said it in, right? And how often, how much of your day do you spend angry or depressed, right? And everybody sort of has different ratios. And again, right, they're sharing all your data. They're just sending it around. And why don't they get I'm sure they would share your emotion data as well. And then it'd be very easy to market all sorts of things to you if you were depressed or couldn't sleep. And right, they don't need to read your emotions to do that, but I don't know. Do I need? I don't think I need to explain this one too much more. That's just kind of a creepy story. But I guess you better get one, put it on your wrist. It's cool. It's super cool. I mean, everything's just right out there, and you just have to sort of flip your brain a little bit, and then you see it. Like,
brain activity returning, administering the antidote.
Josephine, can you hear me? Hey, sweetheart.
Somebody screaming in the other room.
Oh, baby.
Time to get into some television. Because this all ties in. It's all the same thing, right? Which is why I'm really just fighting this crusade about, right? It's not just about the weather. It's not just about the news. It's not just about the entertainment. It's about how they all tie together. And it's, I guess kind of confusing when you click on the video and it's not about the TV right away. Like, I'm sorry. I'm also trying to do this live show thing, and I think that's important. It's great to see you guys out in the chat, chatting. Help me figure this out. What is even happening? So, right, human emotions. This is consciousness transfer yet again. Last night, it's just the onslaught of the same ideas is just, it's indefinite. It's never slowing down.
Brain activity returning, administering the antidote.
Josephine, can you hear me? Hey, sweetheart.
It's hard. It never gets any easier. Oh, baby.
The sutures are holding.
Yeah, so that's from last night's 100. They, that was like our favorite hero the entire time in this show. And, we thought we trusted these people, and they just went and put their daughter's consciousness, in our favorite hero's neck, which is kind of sketchy, Like, if somebody's good at a consciousness transfer into me, I definitely want to give consent. You know what I mean? Like, I hereby do not consent to unwillful consciousness transfer. But, thinking about here is that thought in my head, and now in yours and everybody else that watched the 100 last night. Consciousness transfer is happening. That's just a fact, right? You don't have to watch this show or watch another show. You can take it all together. That's just what's happening. And right, you just got to get ready, right? Because they want us to get ready. You got to get ready, because otherwise you won't react properly. I love Jay Dreamers. If you guys have heard of his channel, it's pretty out there, but he does a lot of decodes too. He's definitely more flat Earth style, and his whole thing is that this big event that's coming, right? We're all talking about some big event. We just don't know what it is. His idea is that like the giant hole gets in the roof of the dome, right? The firmament. And this entire planet is depressurized, right? We're not able to breathe. And it takes a while for this thing to seal back up, right? So you spend a little bit of time without very much oxygen. And what would happen in that scenario is, right, a lot of blood vessels would burst. You would start bleeding from your orifices and your eyes. And that's what happens to people, like, I guess if you're in a depressurized plane or something crazy like that, you know what I mean? That's never happened to me, but apparently that's what happens, like your eyes start bleeding, right? Or am I talking about Ebola? Because I think we were just talking about Ebola, right? Ebola was what we were talking about. Wait, no, actually, this is a frame from television where they're talking about nanoparticles being inside your head and giving, instant death nanoparticles. That can't be real, right? That's not a real thing. Nanoparticulates that are sprayed on most of the population and lay dormant until somebody, sort of flips a trigger or pushes a button, and then a certain genetic marker gets marked and a certain segment of the population just starts bleeding from the eyes. No, I'm making that up. That can't be a possibility. No way something like that's gonna happen. Right? You saw that on TV. I just saw that on TV. That's not real. It's not real. It's not real. Don't worry. So we're getting to the 3333 mark for all of you that are new to the fake truth system. Now we're going to get into it. That was a good shot, right? That was a good shot. I enjoy a beverage, an alcoholic beverage every once in a while. This show is about spycraft and spying and stuff, but it's called Whiskey Cavalier.
I know you think that was sexy, but it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Maybe a little. You're driving.
So...
Agreed. I need you guys.
Right, we're going to get into some other clips in a second, but I'm sort of trying to build this argument. It's taking some time because, right, I haven't already spent years collecting clips and honing this argument. I guess, it would be pretty easy to do a supercut of stuff like this, right? But the scene that you just saw is so typical. It's hard to say how many times I've watched this scene. It's interminable at this point. That's part of my whole tirade here too. Is like, guys, can we get a new playbook? Because, like, I'm just seeing right through this one, and there's got to be other people that are seeing right through it. Can we please, like, just at least make it a little more insidious, more complicated than this? Right? You're supposed to enjoy drinking. Drinking is a fun thing that you do in college, and you maybe went too hard at some point and had to go sober, and they're gonna rub that in too. They're gonna rub that in hard, with all sorts of other references about that. I'm just saying, these are only two of the alcohol references that I pulled from this particular episode. I'd say there was at least 5 or 6. I missed some of them. I really should have pulled them all. But, if chime in if you don't think this is real, if you disagree. Everybody has a different relationship with alcohol, but I'm saying that there is an insane amount of scenes in media where, right, oh man, that was so cool that he did the quarter thing. Like, can you do the quarter thing? Do you remember when you did the quarter thing back in college? Like, that was such a cool night. Man, you want to get a drink? Or is there anything in the fridge? Yeah, you see how this works? Like, it's these leading arguments where a vice is mentioned, and this is just, I'd say, the vice of choice to be mentioned. Over and over and over again, they sink that thing, right? She's like, oh, well, I'm going to take this shot because you scored on me, and then she says, you better drive because, drink responsibly, but enjoy it. Right? It's again, I think I only talk about polarizing subjects. A lot of people talk about polarizing subjects, but I don't see this as just random, right? It just can't be at this point. It's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands over and over and over and over. That's how you get the message down. You ready for some more messaging?
Airline computer railway system, any coordinated from Austria to the major hack into you guys to hack into commercial airline computer railway system, hack into commercial airline computer railway system, any coordinated from Austria to the major European cities. On it, thanks.
It's no big deal. Just gonna hack into that shit. Gonna keyhole satellite your shit. Like, it's no big deal.
She's pretty hot. He's boning her.
Hey, when did you steal my phone? How did you...
Just a helpful little tool in Hong Kong.
No one...
And that was from, what was it even called? These TV shows just float by at this point. Blood and Diamonds? Blood and Treasure. That was from Blood and Treasure right last night, right? And same references here. We have hacking, and then we have more hacking. She makes this double cool reference where she said she got her blue dongle from Taiwan, right? And do your research. Like, that is definitely ultra a thing. I guess they make them enlightening. You'd have to get the right port, but basically it's right, and that's why this breaks down, because that is definitely USB, and I know that phone does not take USB like continuity much. But there are there are those sort of blue dongles that you plug them into your computer. All you have to do is pair with a device, and you can force pairing. Don't think that you can't force pairing, because you can force pairing. Then you're paired, and then that person can log your keys and also type for you and use all of your buttons as well. Home buttons and volume buttons and all that kind of stuff. It is ultra easy. The blue dongle is like $20. Like, on Amazon. You can go get one right now. Maybe they'll put you on a list. I don't know. Maybe I'm on a list. Blue dongle. Yeah, go look it up. Like, you don't have to get it from Taiwan. You can get it from Amazon. But the point, right, why am I showing these clips? We can hack into this, no problem. Again, just untold scenes over and over and over and over and over and over again. Oh yeah, we can hack into that. We just, oh man, the terrorists, they're getting it. They're gonna get you. Well, it's a good thing we've rooted all their systems and we have, all of it forever. And I guess, you're supposed to hear these things and be like, yeah, no, that's a good reason. That's a funny reason to, I guess, they're trying to like...
Computer railway system, any coordinated from Austria to the major European cities.
Right, and they're not just talking about hacking government systems, they're talking about hacking commercial systems, which I guess agencies do all the time, and other sort of sketchy people do. Or do they? I swing back and forth. Like, is this all talk about how we're supposed to just, think they're doing all this stuff? And I think it's really just much more to watch us. Honestly, they're not using a lot of this surveillance for the stuff that they talk about here to like get that bad guy, because they're probably working together and running drugs together with the agency. Oh, controversial. I want to get into this last clip. It's been great having you guys. Just keep your eyes open. I'm trying to. It's tiring though. And I'm with Marv. I'm tired. This whole grind is pretty exhausting, and I got at least 2 other lives running in the background. I'm sort of multitasking on. Generally, I mean, my style is usually to get like 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night for the week, and then just to completely crash out one day and sleep for like 16 hours. That's the style that I've been going on recently. It's probably killing me faster, which is what they want, right? And so a lot of people are gonna call you crazy. They're gonna call you crazy for thinking there's some global conspiracy. There's a people pulling the strings, and they got it all organized in the Council on Foreign Relations, and they talked to the Bush family, and then they watch
99% of planet live in a fantasy. They believe institutions are stable, democracy is forever, that their leader can keep them safe. Truth is, pull the right P, it all comes crashing down. All that's left, simple beauty of chaos.
About opportunity.
What fun is burning the world down? Burning the world, get rich doing it. Not if you can't get rich doing it.
That was from Whiskey Cavalier. I'm just gonna play it again because that clip is nuts to me. And this is also, again, right, this is not just once, this is not just twice, this is thousands of times in thousands of everything over and over and over again. This narrative that there is an elite, an upper class, really brutal sort of group of people that they don't care about you. They're going to let you die. And they're going to watch the world burn, and they're going to make money off it. They're going to like have some sick pride in just ruining everything and ruining your life and killing you and killing all your family and, getting money out of it. And that's why, like, I'm all for compassion and kindness and all of those things. That's why I love the Fugel fam. But I also want to highlight how we are programmed a little bit to be passive, to be accepting, to be loving. And then we're shown these images of monsters doing things that we could never picture ourselves doing. And the effect that has on you, on your perception of the powers that be. When you're watching TV, whatever you're watching, just think about it.
99% of planet live in a fantasy. They believe institutions are stable, democracy is forever, that their leader can keep them safe. Truth is, pull the right P, it all comes crashing down. All that's left, simple beauty of chaos.
About opportunity.
What fun is burning the world down? Burning the world, get rich doing it. Not if you can't get rich doing it.
It's chilling. Honestly, I don't know how else to describe it. If it's true, if it's just a story, if it's just trying to get us to feel a certain way, all of those scenarios are kind of freaking me out. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. It is 2:30 in the morning. Can we go to sleep already? Can we just relax for a second? Oh man, I mean, my hope is it's so great to have you guys out here. As the family grows, I would love to get, questions and random thoughts from you guys and do a sort of interaction phase, Anne Brown, is that a movie? It's Whiskey Cavalier. I mean, it's a TV show. I don't really, I'm genre content type agnostic. I like movies, I like short films, I like YouTube videos, wherever there's truth. And it turns out there's just truth goddamn everywhere. So yeah, watch your back. This guy is trying to steal your checks, and he knows you're not paying attention, and he is relishing in it. He knows you're not paying attention. Are we paying attention? We're just fucking around here. Is this doing anything? We'll see y'all tomorrow. Catch you on the replay or live. Good evening. Good night. Man, I'm tired. Okay, I'm stopping. Okay, good night. Okay.
Keep my